The day Rockefeller outsmarted the U.S. government, they thought he'd lost. May 15, 1911. A sunny afternoon in New Jersey. A 72-year-old man is playing golf. He is calm. He is focused. He is the richest man in modern history. At that exact moment, 200 miles away in Washington, D.C., the United States Supreme Court is reading a verdict that should have destroyed him forever. The government has just ordered the destruction of his life's work, Standard Oil. For years, politicians had called it a monster. Newspapers called it a threat to democracy. The public believed justice was finally coming. Most men would be panicking. Most men would be calling lawyers. Most men would be watching their empire collapse in fear. But John D. Rockefeller? He didn't even stop his golf swing. He simply looked at his partner and quietly said, "Buy Standard Oil." No panic. No anger. No fear. Because while the entire country believed he had lost, he knew he had already won. Today, we uncover the hidden story of how one man turned government defeat into the greatest financial victory in history, and how the world you live in today may still be operating under his design. To understand that moment, we need to go back. Long before the billions, before the oil fields, before the headlines, Rockefeller was just a quiet young boy in Cleveland. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't charming. He wasn't the loudest man in the room. But he had something far more dangerous: discipline. At just 16 years old, he got his first job as a bookkeeper. While other boys were chasing excitement, Rockefeller was studying numbers. Every penny mattered. Every expense was recorded. Every weakness in a business was noticed. He believed something simple: he who controls the numbers controls the world. This wasn't just business to him. It was strategy. He didn't want money. He wanted control. Then came oil. In the 1860s, oil was chaos. Men were getting rich overnight. Speculators rushed in. Wild investors gambled everything. It was messy, unpredictable, dangerous. Most people looked at oil and saw opportunity. Rockefeller looked at oil and saw disorder. And he hated disorder. He understood something most people missed. The real fortune was not in drilling for oil. It was in controlling everything around it: refining, transportation, distribution, storage, pricing. He didn't chase oil. He chased the system. That was the birth of Standard Oil. And once it began, it never stopped growing. His competitors thought they were fighting another businessman, but they were fighting a machine. Rockefeller's strategy was brutally simple. If you competed with him, he gave you two choices: sell to him or be destroyed by him. There was rarely a third option. This became known as the Cleveland Massacre. In only a few months, Rockefeller absorbed 22 of Cleveland's 26 oil refineries. 22. Some owners resisted. Some cried. Some called him evil. But most eventually surrendered. Because Rockefeller did not fight emotionally. He fought with inevitability. He made secret deals with railroad companies. These were called rebates. His oil moved cheaper, sometimes nearly free. Meanwhile, his competitors paid full price. And sometimes even worse. Their shipping fees secretly helped fund Rockefeller himself. Imagine playing poker, while one player secretly owns the casino. That was Rockefeller. He didn't just compete. He designed the table. By the 1880s, Standard Oil controlled nearly 90% of America's oil industry. 90%. Not a company. A kingdom. He controlled kerosene, the light inside American homes. He controlled transportation. He controlled prices. He controlled survival. Families across America depended on oil they never knew was connected to him. People didn't ask if Standard Oil affected their lives. They asked how much. Newspapers called him a monopolist. Politicians called him dangerous. The public called him greedy. But investors? They called him a genius. And then came the woman who would challenge him. Ida Tarbell. One journalist. One pen. And one personal reason. Her father had been destroyed by Rockefeller's business system. She spent years investigating him. Quietly. Patiently. She uncovered the hidden railroad deals. The secret rebates. The silent takeovers. The manipulations no one could prove before. And then she published everything. Her articles exploded across America. For the first time, ordinary people could see the machine behind the empire. And they were furious. Rockefeller had spent years becoming invisible. Ida Tarbell made him visible. Public pressure grew. Politicians could no longer ignore it. President Theodore Roosevelt was preparing for war. Not with another country, but with monopolies. He called them bad trusts. And Standard Oil was the king of them all. The government launched its attack. Lawyers came. Congress came. Newspapers came. For years, the legal battle grew larger and larger. Everyone waited for the final strike. And finally, the Supreme Court ruled. Standard Oil must be broken apart. 34 separate companies. The empire was officially dead. To the public, it looked like justice. The giant had fallen. The monster had been defeated. America celebrated. But on that golf course, Rockefeller smiled. Because he understood ownership better than the judges did. He didn't lose the companies. He still owned huge shares in nearly all of them. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, and many more. The empire did not disappear. It multiplied. Imagine owning one giant gold bar, and the government forces you to break it into 34 gold coins. Did you lose wealth? No. You gained flexibility. You gained protection. You gained invisibility. That was Rockefeller's genius. The government thought they were cutting off his head. They didn't realize he had already grown 33 more. And within a single year, his personal wealth doubled. He became the first billionaire in modern history. Because the government tried to stop him. He didn't beat the system. He understood it better than the people running it. But Rockefeller learned something even bigger than money. Money protects you for a lifetime. Influence protects your family for generations. So he changed his strategy. He stopped chasing oil. And started shaping society, universities, hospitals, medical research, education systems, foundations, entire institutions. He donated hundreds of millions of dollars. To the public, it looked like generosity. To powerful people, it looked like architecture. Because Rockefeller understood the final level of power. Real power is not having your name on the building. It is having your money inside the foundation. He funded universities that educated future leaders. He funded medical institutions that shaped public health. He funded research that changed how medicine worked. He stopped being a businessman. He became infrastructure. That is far more powerful. Because businesses can fail. Institutions survive for centuries. And here is the darkest lesson of all. People think monopolies disappear. They do not. They evolve. Oil became banking. Banking became media. Media became technology. The names changed. The strategy stayed exactly the same. Control the roads, and everyone pays toll. Rockefeller taught the modern world how power hides. Not in one giant visible company, but in networks, in foundations, in investments, in influence without attention, silent ownership, invisible control. That is why most people misunderstand him. They think he was just rich. No. He was an architect of systems. He designed structures so powerful, people stopped noticing they existed. That is the greatest form of power. Not domination people can see, but control people mistake for normal life. Next time you fill your car with gas, remember him. Next time you walk into a hospital, remember him. Next time you sit in a classroom, remember him. Because much of the modern world was shaped by men who were told they'd lost, but quietly won everything. And that golf swing in 1911? It was never confidence, it was certainty. He knew the verdict before the judges did. Because true power does not wait for permission. It writes the rules before the game begins. The real question is not whether Rockefeller won. The real question is, who is doing it today? Who owns the system now? Who controls the invisible roads? And are you playing the game, or are you simply one more piece on the board? Before you leave, if this story changed the way you see money, power, and history. Because Rockefeller was only the beginning. Behind him were other families. The Morgans, the Rothschilds, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts. Families that helped design the modern world quietly, strategically, and permanently. On this channel, we uncover the hidden truths they never wanted you to know. If you enjoy stories about billionaire secrets, dark history, hidden power, and the minds behind empires, like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe now. And tell me, was Rockefeller a genius or the most dangerous businessman in history? Because the deeper we go, the more we realize history was never written for the public. It was written for the people who owned it. And the truth is always buried deeper.